The following may contain language that is not appropriate for all audiences. You know, small children, people that are easily offended, whatnot. Hey everybody, thank you for joining us once again here on the Low Fact Podcast. I suppose we could call ourselves the Broken Record Podcast too, because it just seems that we repeat ourselves over and over and over again.
I tried not to repeat it. I was going to say the same thing as I did last time. So I'm just going to prove his point.
It ends up happening. I remember a couple of times when I would have discussions with people. There would be an exchange that I heard on the podcast, and I would say the exact same thing, listening to the podcast.
While you were listening?
Yes. Or I would say the exact same thing when talking to other people who would say stuff like the exchange would be very similar to the podcast or to what we've recorded, and it would just be the same conversation. So from my part, and I was just sitting there thinking, man, I am like a one-trick pony. But anyway, the usual suspects are here. We're going to try something a little different. We're going to talk about one topic only per podcast, and it will go until we finish talking about it, or 9 minutes, whichever comes first. So
there's so many tangents I want to go on right now.
Which could even be shorter with edits.
It could be. And what else? What other housekeeping things do we need to talk about? Oh yeah, we are here in lovely Southern California. Hopefully, by the time this podcast goes up, the fires will have been put out. But right now, my colleagues that are plagued with breathing disorders are having a hard time with the smoke.
Oh, it's so awful.
I'm fine.
I feel like I'm in a room with a bunch of French bulldogs.
It's a pretty short lifespan.
Well, no, you know, because they have the short snouts, they have breathing problems. It kind of sounds like that here. You're like, both of you are just like honking and.
Is that what it sounds? Because French bulldogs sound gross to me.
Really?
Just walk around.
Yeah, it kind of sounds
like I
that.
hate hearing it inside and like anywhere I am.
For some reason, I was thinking Mr. Snuffleupagus, but
that's
hi,
not,
bird.
That is neither French nor bulldog. So
It's just I don't know, freaks me out.
But anyway.
All right, one topic.
So one topic. Here is the topic.
Da, da, da.
How important is it to be right?
Extremely. If you're right, you feel so much better about yourself. It's pretty fair from a selfish reason.
You got anything to add to that, Mr. Kiwi?
I'm all about being right, so yeah.
So
I think it's more being right is more important than anything, really.
See, I kind of think it's kind of like the whole self-esteem thing that Andy always kind of goes back to. I don't think people care about being right.
What's that?
They just care about feeling right or being indulged.
Kind of that superior feeling? Because
Exactly.
you're right?
Right. You know, the whole superiority feeling.
Feeling right.
If it feels right, it feels good.
How does that work? Like feeling right.
Well, just to take a topic that is probably in the main, and it has been for the last 40 years, the whole Second Amendment debate and, you know, modern gun control.
Right.
Which, oddly enough, started here in California because a whole bunch of white folks didn't want the Black Panthers to have access to weapons. Now,
So that's Reagan era, right?
Oh, Reagan.
I think Reagan was the governor at the time, yes. Yeah. So there are a lot of people who believe no one should have guns. And they want to make it and they believe that because they believe no one should have guns, that is the correct attitude. And everyone who disagrees with that is a crazy, violent individual that's probably some kind of neo-Nazi or what, white nationalist, which is a term I don't know.
Survivalist.
Whatever, you know, whatever term you want to throw out there, yeah. Right? And then when you try to put forth an argument for why gun control probably is not correct or not the best, going on to like constitutional foundations, legal theory, just whatever. You throw out all the arguments con to their argument. By and large, the answer is there's just no need.
I don't like that argument at all.
And
there's not a need for a lot of different things.
Right, but the thing is that's the counter. There's no need, and they really don't want to say, I don't like it, so there. Because on your point, Andy, yeah, when people say there's no need for a car that goes 200 miles an hour. There's no need for a car that has a super nice stereo system. There's no need for a car that's super flashy. I mean, if you want, we could have cars that look like what's that Indian car company?
No idea.
I forget, but I remember about 20 years ago, I was watching.
Is it like a Cuban car, or is it like ancient technology?
No, the body style. Okay, so here it is. So back in the 90s, I don't know how much it's changed now in this century, but India was, and probably still is, I don't know, was notoriously paternalistic about everything. Like if you wanted to sell your product in India, a bunch of bureaucrats had to sit there and make sure that the food was fit for human consumption, this and that and the other, right? Sounds good, right? So when Kentucky Fried Chicken or McDonald's wanted to open up in India, they had to go through this rigmarole. And me saying rigmarole probably makes it sound like I disagree with it, which I do, but I didn't mean for it to sound that way. So because there was really no need, there was such a high barrier to entry anytime anyone wanted to introduce something new, there was one Indian car company that had been making cars in India since the 50s. At the time, in the 90s, the model had not changed. So it looked like a car from the 50s.
In the 90s.
But it was built in the 90s.
Jesus.
To 50s specifications.
I don't think I like that.
Yeah, well, it looked like a brand new car. I mean, this thing looked like a brand new car. It looked like a little Trabant or something. That used to be the East German car company. But, I was just like, I don't know. So that's the answer to the thing. So my response to how important it is to being right is, I don't know, because there have been many situations where I was objectively right. Like the question was, 2 + 2 = 4. And the response to that was, I don't like that. 2 + 2 does not equal 4. It equals this. By analogy as the argument goes. And I've just been told that we've come close to time.
How is it possible?
So, because I, being the loquacious MFer that I am, talk way too much. So, thank you very much for listening, everyone, and we'll try to come back tomorrow and make something better.
This 9-minute thing is great. Okay, then.
All right, thanks for tuning in to Low Fat Podcast. You can find us on YouTube. Just search Low Fact. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/lowfactpodcast. If you want to chat to us, send us some comments, or have us talk about some things, just send an email to lowfatpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on our Twitter and Instagram pages at lowfatpodcast, and also check out Andy's pages where he mixes our beats, Twitter and Instagram at A Fantasy Beat, and you can also find his wicked ass shit on SoundCloud at Artificial Fantasy.